Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video, I will be presenting to you another slipper video. If you saw last week's video, you know that I showed you how to crochet some slippers, and I derived a pattern from Serene, I think that's her name, Serene's Crochet channel. And yeah, I really liked them. This week I want to make another pair, but I also want to use a finer yarn. So things you will need. Well, I'm using Lion Brand Yarns Ferris Wheel. Okay, this is 3 ounces, 85 grams, 270 yards, 247 meters. Okay, and it's a medium 4 yarn, and it calls for a size 5mm crochet hook, which is H, and that is US. However, I'm going to use this G, which is 4.5mm. Normally I go larger. I think I thought that this called for a 4.5, but I was looking at the needles instead of the crochet hook, but it still worked out. So yeah, that's what you're going to need. Basically, just follow the recommendations according to whatever size yarn you're using, okay? Got the crochet yarn, got the crochet hook, you'll need a tape measure, you'll need some scissors, and you'll need a darning, weaving, tapestry needle. One of these balls or skeins or cakes, whatever you want to call it, is enough. Okay, all right, let's get to it. So the very first thing that you want to do is measure the size of the foot or feet of the people that you're making this for. So just take your tape measure, measure out, the length of their feet, and then after you get whatever measurement that's going to be for you, I want you to pick up right here, start with a slip knot. Okay, insert your crochet hook, pull to tighten, and now I want you to start to crochet chains until you get to that length that you measured with your tape measure. Okay, so for me, I know that I'm going to be crocheting a total of 34 chains. If it's a smaller number or if it's a larger number, just try to make it an even number, and I think that should keep you pretty close in sync with me in terms of what I do in the video. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains. I'm going to continue, and I'll see you once I get these completed. So I have my 34 chains made, and now I'm going to make a double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so yarn over for a double crochet and go all the way back to the 4th chain from the hook, which is there. Okay, just enter like that. Yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops. 1, 2, 3. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. The 3 chains that were left by crocheting into the 4th chain from the hook when the hook was there will also be counted as a stitch. So right now we have 2 stitches, the 3 chains and then an actual double crochet. Now you're going to continue putting 1 double crochet in every chain across. So I'll show you one more. Here's the next chain. Yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2. 1, 2. Alright, continue in that fashion, and I'll see you on the other side. So I have my 32 stitches, counting that initial chain 3 at the beginning. Okay, and what I'm about to show you, you're going to do for the next 7, at least 7 rows. Okay, so you're going to chain 2, 1, 2. You're going to turn your work. In the very next stitch, so the chain 2 is over that stitch on the end. In the very next stitch, right there, okay, we're going to put a back post double crochet. So yarn over from the back, come to the front on the right side of the stitch, like that. Go around it and back out to the back, okay, just on the other side of the stitch. Now we're going to yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops, 1, 2, 3. We're going to complete the double crochet by yarning over, going through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Okay. In the next stitch, or the 3rd stitch over, we're going to put a front post double crochet. So yarn over from the front, go on the right side of the stitch out to the back, come back out to the front just on the other side of that same 3rd stitch, bring your yarn forward to yarn over, pull through for 3 loops. And now complete the double crochet by yarning over, going through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. In the next stitch, or the 4th stitch over, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to alternate and go back to the back post double crochet. So from the back, come out to the front on the right side of the stitch, like that, go around it, back out to the back, just on the other side of that same 4 stitch, yarn over, and pull through like that. For 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, and just keep alternating front, back. Okay, you guys will get the hang of it. Front, back. And if you need more of a tutorial, watch the previous video, because I used the same pattern in that video with lighter colors. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to continue doing this for the next, including this row, the next 7 rows. So after this row, 6 more. I'll see you there. Alright, so I'm across and at the end of row 2, and I have 1 more double crochet to make. I'm going to make it in the top chain of that chain 3 there. So yarn over, just go on to the top chain, yarn over, pull through to the front for 3 loops, and now complete the double crochet. Just a regular double crochet. You always put a regular double crochet in the chain stitches on the end, just the top chain. Okay. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and turn our work. And we're going to repeat what we just did. Remember, we started with the back post double crochet, okay, and that's what we're going to do here. Once again, start with the back post, and then we're going to go to the front post for the next stitch, and then we're going to start alternating back to the back post. For reference, the stitches that are kind of sitting back, you're going to put a back post. The stitches that are sitting kind of forward to the front, you're going to put a front post. So these stitches are forward or to the front, so I'm going to put a front post to maintain that design, and that stitch back there that's sitting to the back, I'm going to put a back post. Okay, that's how you're going to always know what type of stitch to make in the stitches. Okay, alright, now I'll see you in 6 more rows. 5 if you count this row. Alright, see you soon. Alright, so I ended up doing an extra row. So starting with my initial row 1 of just regular double crochets, I have a total of 8 rows. 8 rows for me is about 3 inches. Okay, for those of you using the metric system, that's about 7.5 centimeters. Okay, so now I'm going to start crocheting only halfway across. Okay, I have a total of 32 stitches, remember, so I'm going to crochet in only the first 16. So I'm going to start the next row the same, chaining 2, 1, 2. I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to start just putting a back post double crochet in the next stitch because it's in back, and then the next stitch is a front post double crochet. Okay, next stitch is a back post double crochet. The next stitch is a front post double crochet. Okay, and so I'm going to continue doing that. Right now I have 5 stitches. I have the initial chain 2, which we count, the back post, front post, back post, front post, so that's 5 stitches. I have 11 more, so that will get me to the halfway point, and I will have crocheted a total of 16 stitches. I'll meet you once I get to that 16th stitch. As you can see, I've crocheted to the halfway point. That's my 16th stitch, and it happened to be a back post double crochet. Now I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2, and start a new row. So this is row 1. Now I'm starting row 2. The reason we started the numbering system over is because this is a separate section. Okay. Alright, so the chain 2 counts for that last stitch, and so the next stitch is the back post double crochet. So that's exactly what we've been doing with the first stitch after the initial chain 2 being a back post double crochet. And now we alternate like we always have. Okay, so just continue putting the appropriate stitch in every stitch below, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, I'm at the end of this new row 2, and I just want to get on and remind you to not forget about that chain 2 on the end, and to not forget to crochet a regular double crochet in the top chain of that chain 2 on the end. Okay. Alright, so chain 2, 1, 2, okay, and turn your work. Alright, and we'll just continue crocheting. Now you might be wondering, how many rows do I crochet? Well, the way you're going to figure that out is, let me turn this back this way. We're going to fold this over like that, okay? And we are going to crochet so many rows such that it lines up with this edge, okay? So we have several more rows to make. One thing to note though is that going this way, it stretches, okay? So whenever it's time for you to see if you've crocheted enough of these rows going that way, make sure you stretch it and you take that measurement, okay? So I'm going to crochet several more rows and I'll check back in once it lines up with it being stretched, okay? That will tell me that I've gone far enough. So I have gotten the appropriate length, the length that I need, so that when I fold it this way, okay, and I stretch it out, it lines up, okay, like that. So notice that the width of those 16 stitches that I made is 3 inches, okay? So it matches that width. That's important. Those two things should match, okay? Also, when you fold it, make sure it goes all the way across like that. This has a little bit of stretch, but this side has a lot more stretch. So stretch both and then just make sure that they line up, okay? And if you can swing it, try to make sure that you end on this inside. You see how you have the edge and you have the yarn over here. We ended on this side. That's where I'm going to end. Try to end it there. The reason that that would benefit you is that when it's time to connect these, you can start right there. We'll chain 1 and leave one long tail, start right there, and then start connecting down this side and then down that side, okay? If you happen to end there, it's not a big deal. Just cut your yarn, fasten off like normal, and then you can start another yarn connecting that way and that way, okay? So either way is fine. Alright, let me show you what's next. So I'm going to do exactly what I just said. Put this in here. I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to leave myself decent amount of yarn like that. Alright, and then I'm just going to pull all the way through. Alright, now I'm done with the crochet hook, and I'm going to get my darning weaving tapestry needle. Zoom in so you can see better. Okay, so once again, if you end with the tail on the inside, if you can swing that, that would be great. Alright, so I'm going to fold this down, so just bring it down like that so that it looks like this. Okay, and now we'll turn this way and we're going to connect down this side. So I'm going to put my yarn in my darning weaving tapestry needle. You can pull it through a little bit like that, and we're just going to go from one side of the stitch to the other side. So it's already over there, but you can still kind of come through one of the loops and use the outside loops if you can, and then here in the corner go in the outside loop like that and pull. So we went from that side to this side. Now we're going to go from this side, going through one of the loops, to the outside loop on that side. And actually it's probably more like that one. You don't have to be precise, just make sure that it's lining up. Okay, now the yarn is over there, so we're going to come from that side and go back over to the side closest to you, going through one loop like that. Okay, and this is how we're going to seal this up. Make sure you're lining up the stitches. So you don't want it to be bunched up at any point if you do that, so keep it lined up. And I'll meet you once we get to the corner. See you there. Alright, so I'm at the corner. this is the tail from earlier. I'm going to pull that out of the way. Right now, you guys probably didn't realize it, but this is the inside of the slipper. Once we're done connecting this, we're going to turn it inside out, and the what's right here, that will be the outside. Okay, so I'm just going to continue lining it up. Right now the yarn is on this side, so I'm going to go from this side to the other side. Just find a loop, okay, and connect. Keep that tail out so that when you turn it in, it'll be on the inside, and we can always weave it in later. Okay, so now I'm over there, so I'm going to find a loop over there and come back over here to my side, like that. Okay, one more from this side over to that side, just through one loop. Okay, and then from over there to over here. Try not to skip any stitches so you don't want any gaps. Okay, so we're going to do this until we get to this point. That's where that is, lines up with that. Okay, and then what we're going to do, we'll get there and then we'll fold that like that and then connect those two sides. But I'll meet you once I get that connected, or I should say that connected, lines up with that. Okay, alright, so I'm at the stopping point. Okay, so I went and connect it all along there. Okay, and you can see if I were to bring my yarn down, it's right where I want it to be. So now that we're there, we're going to turn this like this, and we're going to fold it in the center like that, so it'll create a little triangle. Okay, and now we're going to connect these two sides. We'll connect that side and we'll connect that side. Let's go left first. Okay, so actually let's go right first since the yarn is over there. So we'll turn it this way. Now it's in this one, so we'll come from this side, remember, and then go, just find a loop on the other side, just one loop, and feed your yarn through like that. Alright, and now from that side we'll go through one loop and find a corresponding loop over here. Alright, so just keep weaving. This is what you've been doing all along, and I'll meet you once I get to the corner, once I get there. Okay, now that we're at the corner, it's completely sealed up, we need to get this side connected. But our yarn is over here. What are we going to do, Atreyu? Well, we're just going to, luckily, since we have a darning weaving tapestry needle on hand, we're going to weave our yarn back that way to the center point. So just go through some stitches as if though you're weaving in the yarn to get you back to where you want to be. Okay, and we'll go all the way down to that center point like that. See? And just pull through. Alright, and just like that, we are where we want to be to now connect this side. So we'll do the exact same thing. So start from over here and go over there to that edge, and then from that edge, still going through one loop, and connect coming back over here. Then once again over here through one loop, and one loop over there, the outside preferably loop if you can manage it, and then one loop over here. Okay, so just continue doing that until you get here, and then we'll weave our yarn back there. I'll meet you there. So now we're in this corner, and just like before, we'll weave our yarn back to that center point, and I can tell that I want to close that up a little bit, so that's why I'm deciding to take my yarn back in that direction. I could, if that didn't exist there, could end, I could end it here where the yarn currently is, but I have a little bit more work I want to do on this. So I do that to get it back to the center, and I don't pull too tight. Okay, and now I just start to kind of weave through some stitches in that area to kind of close up that hole. See how that one maneuver already closed it up significantly. But I want to go through a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, just until I'm satisfied. Okay, like that. Alright, and now I'm going to just go through nearby stitch. Yeah, that'll be good. And before I close this hole completely up, I'm going to sneak my darning weaving tapestry needle through it pull it through so that when it comes to a singularity, it will create a little knot. Okay. Now I can cut my yarn, and I can weave that in if I want to be super thorough. Okay. I may do that later. All right. So remember, this is the outside of the footy, and this looks like super small, right? But don't forget that it stretches tremendously. So let's turn this on so that the correct side is on the outside, and this is how it looks. Now, even though this looks super small, you see this opening which will stretch. Most likely it's going to be too big. Like when you put it on your foot, it's gonna feel like it could slip off. Even if it doesn't, it could feel like it could, and I personally don't like that feeling. So what I recommend you do is crochet some rounds of single crochet. So 1 round of single crochet, and then we'll decrease the next round, and then 2 or 3 more depending on how tight you want it to fit. Okay, so we'll stick our crochet hook in that center point. We'll grab our yarn like that. Okay, a lot of purple, right? Hook it on, and then chain 1 and pull on the tail you just created by attaching that yarn. Now in that same area where we just chained 1, we're going to put a single crochet in there, and I'm going to crochet over this tail that I just created by attaching the yarn. So I'm going to lay that on top, you see? So I'm going to go in that same place and make a single crochet, and now I'm just going to crochet all around the opening of this slipper. 1 single crochet in every stitch. If it's not like a stitch with the top there, then just spread the single crochets out. Okay, I'm still crocheting over this tail so I don't have to weave it in later. Okay, so continue putting 1 single crochet around, and I will meet you once we get to this side where we're crocheting along the sides of the stitches. See you there. Believe it or not, I'm already there, and now we're working along the sides of the stitches. So remember, my goal is to kind of close this up, this opening up, to make it smaller. So I'm really gonna spread them out such that it begins to close it up. So I'm just putting 1 single crochet along the side of every chain 2 or double crochet that's on that edge. Okay, so it's going to work to start to close it up. Make sure they're not too spread out or it'll buckle, but you see mine is not buckling, right? Okay, so, and once again, you don't have to be super precise, just spread them out as you see fit. But remember, your goal is to close up this opening a little bit, which is why we're going to do several rounds of single crochet, and one of those rounds we're going to actually decrease. Okay, so you'll just continue doing this until you get back around to where you started. I'm almost there. Okay, so now here's the chain 1 and the single crochet. We bypass the chain 1, slip stitch in the top of the single crochet like that, pull all the way through. Now we chain 1 again, and at this point you could fit it on your foot to see how it feels. If it feels loose, then you can do more rounds. If it feels still, significantly loose, at this point you can make this a decrease round. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 5 single crochets, and then over the next 6 stitches, the 6th and 7th, I'm going to decrease. So just as before, I chain 1 in that same place. I'm going to put a single crochet. That's 1. Next single crochet is 2. Next stitch is 3. Next stitch is 4. Next stitch is 5. Now over the 6th and 7th, that's where I'm going to decrease. This is how you decrease 2 single crochet together. Enter the stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front. Enter the next stitch, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through everything. Okay, so 5 single crochets and then a SC 2 together, single crochet 2 together. Now we repeat the pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single crochet 2 together. 1, go into the next one, 2 for 3 loops, and then yarn over and go through everything. Continue that pattern until you get back around here. I'll see you there. I happen to end on the 5th stitch right before the single crochet 2 together. Wherever you end is where you end. Don't worry about going through a complete iteration. Okay, so I'm on the 5th stitch, and now I'm back around, so I'm going to slip stitch into that initial single crochet. Okay, chain 1, and now I'm going to go back to putting 1 single crochet in every stitch for 2 more rounds. So remember, go in that very same place where you just chain 1 and put 1 single crochet in every stitch around. It should start to get tighter now that you've done a decrease round. Okay, continue with that, and I'll meet you once we get back around there. See you soon. So I'm back around. I'm going to slip stitch to that first single crochet, bypassing that chain 1. Now chain 1, and right back in there I'm going to put a single crochet, and I'm going to do this for this round and 1 more round of single crochet. Okay, I'll meet you once I complete these 2 rounds. See you there. As you can see, I'm back around. I just want to point out, you might think that this part right here is a stitch, but that's where you slip stitch, so don't be confused. This is the actual last single crochet, and here's the first single crochet of that round. So I'm going to bypass that and slip stitch, and you see when I slip stitch, that's what's creating what looks like a stitch there. Okay, so in theory this is the final round. Okay, and you could chain 1, cut your yarn, fasten off. Okay, if you still feel like, and I would suggest that you put it on your foot before you cut your yarn. So you can just leave a big loop and then put it on your foot or the foot of the person you're making it for, just to see how it fits. If you feel that this opening is still too large, one last thing that you can do is go around and add a round of slip stitches. That is really going to, prevent it from being too wide. It's gonna make a strong, tight border, so be sure that you actually need it. So the way that you do that, we already slip stitched in the first stitch, so we'll go to the next one and just slip stitch like that. Next stitch, slip stitch, next stitch, slip stitch, and we'll slip stitch all the way around, and then slip stitch the final time, chain 1, cut your yarn, fasten off, and weave in the tail. Okay, alright, let's wrap this up. As you can see, I've decided to add that final round of slip stitches, which is really going to close everything up. Okay, so you can actually make them kind of loose if you want, if you're worried about it being too tight, or you can just do another round of single crochets. It's kind of your preference. I like slip stitches because it really puts a seal on it. Okay, alright, so I'm almost back around. Here is where I initially slip stitch, so I'm going to slip stitch into the slip stitch like that, chain 1, and then I'm going to cut my yarn and fasten off. Okay, and then I can weave this into that area where that color is. But this is pretty much it. Okay, isn't it beautiful? I really like this, and I know it looks like it wouldn't fit the foot that you measured, right? But it will and it does, because it's so stretchy, which is the cool thing about this style. Okay, also, if you want it to come up higher on your foot, you can always make those initial rows taller. Okay, just make sure that when you're creating that vertical extension, that half panel, that the width matches. Okay, alright, so yeah, beautiful, right? So beautiful. Let me get the other and we'll finish up this video. Alright, you guys, so this is the finished product. Okay, couple of slippers. I would say if you're focused, you should be able to make these in 3 hours, maybe even a little bit less. It was hard for me to gauge because I was making this video. I'm trying to teach you guys how to do it, but I definitely could have completed this faster if obviously I wasn't stopping to teach. As I said, 1 cake was enough. I made both of these and I still have all of this left. Okay, so yeah, just know that 1 cake will be enough for you to make a pair of slippers, and I'll probably be able to get another pair out of this easily, probably. But I really like these. They're very comfortable. The good thing about these is that they're so stretchy. When you stretch them, they create these little vents, so you can wear them in the summer, but they can also be worn in the winter time, over a pair of socks, maybe a pair of black socks or white socks or solid color socks, if you want an extra layer of warmth. So the yarn is very warm. And yeah, as I said, because of the spaces, the gaps, they can be worn in any season. Okay. Alright guys, that is going to be it for this video, but I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting!